I love this idea of having more conversation around perimenopause and menopause. Is there a standout time that you can remember that you can actually laugh about now, but you like a symptom that you're like, what the heck? I distinctly remember having conversations with my business partner and actually in hindsight thinking, I don't even know what she was talking about. I don't know what I answered. I don't know.
And you really do think that you're losing it. I've got plenty of experiences or examples of times where I've done things which in hindsight are funny/embarrassing depending on how you're looking at it. But I think what was really obvious to me was when I was in the privileged position of having a really fantastic job. I had a lot of responsibility. I looked after large teams. I traveled the world. I was able to, look after my son, all of those things. And then I would just break down in tears if my toast was cold. And I'm like, how can I do all of this? And yet something like that completely throws me.
And I laugh, but it's out of no disrespect.
No.
Because it's just like we know that it's like,
no.
What?
I know. This poor woman at Witchery one day, they didn't have my size and it was as though she told me that I had 3 months left. I sobbed because I didn't have the T-shirt in my size. This poor thing didn't know what to do with me. And she was just like...
Right. Some women, maybe they're not associating their symptoms. And I think let's be clear that our ovarian reserve starts to decline from our mid-30s. This is why I say perimenopause starts in our 30s.
Yep.
What speeds that up is stress levels. People don't like to hear that. They especially don't like to hear that perimenopause is something that starts in their 30s. Women see it as a tap that turns off, and it's not at all. You could be in perimenopause for 20 years. To your point also, we just don't talk about it, and women are turning to where to find answers.
It's interesting you say that. We actually just released the results of a study which we undertook with a third-party data agency asking Australian women about their experience with perimenopause and menopause, and it's the most up-to-date read that we have on how Australian women are feeling about this particular time in their lives. What was fascinating/alarming is that 1 in 4 women feel more comfortable talking to AI than they do to a human about their experiences. We can joke and, say, well, AI won't tell you it's just a phase or dismiss you or anything like that. On the same hand, you've got women who desperately need support to help them navigate this time, and yet their only outlet is technology in order to help them through it because people aren't having those conversations.
It's so interesting. I know when I wrote my book that was geared at teenagers, we conducted some similar questioning and we questioned mothers and daughters. AI wasn't quite there. ChatGPT, this is sort of 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But the majority of teenagers were turning to Google to find answers for their symptoms. So we've got a fundamental issue right across the board, don't we, really?
Yeah,
because
definitely.
This is why we need to have these open conversations, but also perhaps we're having the conversations with the wrong people.
True.
And I don't know who the right people actually are either because the education still is, I think, rather outdated. Medically, I think it's outdated. True. I see even still what's being taught and it's not up to date. And some practitioners will go the extra mile to learn that, but others are not. And so they're getting mixed messages about what's actually happening, or the answer is, well, it's just what happens.
I think that the responsibility needs to be shared amongst everyone, even if you aren't experiencing it. These women are going through enough. It's not incumbent upon them to also take on the role of educator to their partner or their workplace or their friends about what it is that they're experiencing. Yes, absolutely encourage them to share and to talk and to open up, but to then ask them as well to educate everyone around what it is just adding another layer of responsibility or stress. I think it would be wonderful if we got to a place where our children and our partners and our workplaces knew what this stage of life was, because we certainly didn't get taught it at school.
No, but also at the same time I'm sitting here going, where did things change? Because I feel like at one point in time women were not disconnected for themselves.
True.
And probably because we did things together and we had the conversations. And so somewhere along the last 100 years or so, we've disconnected ourselves.
True.
menopause, and this is the result of that.
And it's still attached to so much shame in so many ways. And I think that the silence is deafening in terms of the connotations of admitting that you're at that stage of life, because the automatic thought is, oh, you must be this old, or, oh, it's all over.
It's also unfortunate because I know in the past I've laughed when I've been in a room with a woman that was maybe 20 years older than me and she had a meltdown. I can tell you examples
Apologies
of that.
now
Awful, I'm
for
so sorry.
all those women. Yeah.
How do we recognise the early signs, or is it that we just need to be more prepared and start to scaffold earlier, do you think, when it comes to our health as women?
Oh, it's a great question.
Yeah.
I think that your awareness piece is absolutely spot on. As soon as you know that your body is changing and you can be, more aware of what it is that's happening, it's less overwhelming and less frightening, and you're less likely to dismiss it as well and actively seek what it is that may be able to help offer support or relief. And then also, for those around you, just the check-ins and asking, how are you? What can I do? Hopefully will help foster that as well.
How about also asking our mothers as well, what their journey was like? It's not something that, because of that generation, they're not likely to share it, but maybe us asking and having those conversations.
It's funny you say that. In the same study I was just referencing, it said that 1 in 3 women won't talk to their mum about their menopause experience. And if you contrast that with pregnancy, or when a woman is pregnant, the stats show that 95% will talk about their pregnancy experience with their mum.
That's crazy.
It's crazy that there is just this comfort level of talking about what your body's going through when you're pregnant. But then when it comes to menopause, 2/3 of women won't talk to their own mum about their experience.
It's kind of heartbreaking, really. I mean, they've been through it.
Exactly.
Probably the generation to have the most amount of discomfort that any generation's going to have, maybe, and not talk about it. Such a time of silence.
Yeah. And that stoicism of push through and get on with it.
And that same phase where women often say they feel irrelevant too. You start to change in your body, you don't feel great, you've got all these things going on, you're not talking to anyone about it. It's a wonder that they're all still here supporting us.
I'm going to go call mum after this.
It is still misunderstood. We are still not talking about a lot of the symptoms associated. Outside of hot sweats, what other symptoms do you feel we need to highlight?
We need to be really mindful in terms of how we talk about the symptoms. And I'm not saying this from a health perspective. It's easy to have a joke or roll your eyes when it comes to hot sweats and night sweats and all of, I forgot my husband's name and all of those things. But for far too many women, the impact from a mental health perspective can be really devastating. We need to be really delicate around how we reference symptoms, appreciating that every woman's experience is going to be unique, but also that for some women, unfortunately, it's going to be an incredibly challenging time. When we do make light of some of the symptoms, which, by all means we should, it's still having that respect that it can be a really devastating time in someone's life. They can make some really significant life decisions. And I think it's just recognizing that it is a really serious condition as well as the more surface level symptoms, if that makes sense.